bayan ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, pero sa sirakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka masisingil, sa nagtatagtutog sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng magawat mo'y tagumpay na nagtitingin, ang ituwin na karaw niya, kailan pa may di magtitingin, luwag ang araw ng walaking pagsinta, tuwing langit sa piling ko, ang hindi kaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
You may all be seated. All right, so since MAP President Al Pandillo is out of the country, may I now call on the Treasurer of MAP and Chair of SVP to deliver the welcome remarks. Please welcome with Mr. Wilson Tan.
Our distinguished guest speaker and panelists, our special guests from the government, the diplomatic community, the academe, and the media, fellow MAP members, dear friends, good afternoon to all of you. So on behalf of the MAP Board of Governors and MAP President Al Panlilio, who is out of the country, and also MAP Vice President Mike Toledo, who is currently indisposed, I welcome all of you to this MAP General Membership Meeting on making healthcare more affordable and accessible to all Filipinos. At the outset, let me thank our guest speaker, Dr. Edwin Mercado, for squeezing today's MAP GMM in his very, very tight schedule. Thank you also to our two panelists, Mr. Sian Argos of MaxiCare and Dr. Viber Tamesis of Asian Hospital. Also to our Q&A moderator, later on, Mr. Raul Villegas. Let me thank also MAP Health Committee, chaired by Rack Kagurangan with co-vice chair Ted Padilla and Jerry White, and Governor in charge, Paolo Borromeo, for organizing this GMM. Thank you also to PhilHealth and MAP members who are now participating in our health stroll at the foyer. So exactly a week from now, July 23, we will be having our MAP 75th Anniversary Ball. Okay? So join us for an exciting dinner with a concert featuring Miss Lani Misalucha, Martin Rivera, and the Manila Symphony Orchestra. For ladies, please come in your long gown. For men, please wear black tie or black suit. Some members were also asking why the MAP board decided to charge entry fees. As announced earlier, we are charging entry fees for attending members and guests in order to generate funds for the MAP Research and Development Foundation, CSR programs, which focus on health, education, and agribusiness and food security. Anyway, President Al will expound on this in his message at the anniversary ball. To raise awareness about cancer, encourage its prevention, and mobilize MAP members to address it within their organization, we are also launching today the MAP Cancer Awareness Program. Our aim is to improve coverage and support for employees with cancers and launch awareness drives and screening programs for MAP members. You will hear more of this program later on from Governor in charge of the MAP cluster on investing in the youth, Mr. Paolo Borromeo. Also, please help us in our search for the 49th recipient of the Management Person of the Year Award. MAP members have until August 1 to submit their nominations. Okay, when it comes to the MAP CEO conference, okay, the future has no blueprint. Okay, are you ready to lead without one? Okay. Learn how by attending the 23rd MAP International CEO Conference, whose theme will be Leading Amidst Invisible Disruptions, Agility, and Resilience in a Multipolar Era. The discussions will focus on the challenges that leaders face, economic, geopolitical, and technological issues, and make sense of complex signals and guide their organizations with foresight and clarity. Please register now and avail of the early bird rates of 14,000 pesos per member and 16,000 pesos per guest. Take note that by August, the rates will increase by 2,000 pesos each. So please register early. Now, please submit also your 10 nominees for MAP governors for 2026-2027. So if you have not submitted your 10 nominees, please do so. And maybe you can consider adding more lady nominees in your list of 10 nominees. The first 10 members who will receive the highest number of nominations and who will accept their nominations will be considered as candidates for MAP governors for 2026-2027. The nomination period will be from July 8 to August 13. Okay, please submit also your recipe for the Masarap Alagaan ang Pinoy Cookbook, which contains a collection of recipes from MAP members nationwide. These recipes can be a family staple, an age-old family recipe, or simply a recipe that they love to eat, which will be converted into a more affordable and healthier dish for the common Filipino. Okay, to further engage MAP members, especially our new members, we will be holding another GMM outside of Metro Manila, this time in Iloilo City. It will be held on August 29, Friday, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Seda Hotel. The speakers will be Dr. Jess Estanislao on the Dream Philippines, and former Senate President Franklin Diron, and former Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Trenas on the Iloilo Miracle. A business matching on agriculture will be held after the GMM, and a networking fellowship will be held thereafter. In line with this, kindly nominate for MAP membership your colleagues and your key officers who are based in Iloilo and other parts of Visayas so they can be inducted as new MAP members at the August 29 GMM. Okay, on screen is the list of forthcoming MAP events. Please look at those dates and block off your calendars. For the details of MAP activities, please continue to monitor your Viber and email inboxes, the MAP website, the MAP memo, and our weekly electronic newsletter. Thank you all and good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson Tan, our treasurer for MAP, for welcoming everyone. And now for the launch of the MAP Cancer Awareness Program, which is a major initiative of the MAP Health Committee. May I now call on the governor in charge of the MAP Health Committee and the president and CEO of the Ayala Healthcare Holdings, or AC Health. Please welcome Mr. Paulo Borromeo.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our chairman, Al Panlilio, and the rest of the Board of Governors for this year's MAP, we're very excited to launch our cancer campaign for the Management Association of the Philippines. It's something that's very close to our hearts. Of course, something very close to the chairman's heart, something very close to my heart, and we're just absolutely delighted to be able to launch this program with all of you today. And officially, I think we will announce it too at the 75th anniversary ball. So before we proceed with the talk from PhilHealth, and again, I'd like to say our special thanks to Dr. Edwin Mercado for gracing us today. But before we do Dr. Edwin Mercado's speech and panel, we'd just like to share the Working with Cancer campaign to everyone. So without further ado, I wanted to call Mr. Dave Drelon, who actually spearheaded this project from the start and inspired all of us to do something about cancer. So Dave, please, let's all welcome Dave.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to say thank you especially to the MAP board, and the MAP Health Committee for allowing us to present Working with Cancer here today. I guess when we talk about the Working with Cancer pledge, I have to start from the beginning on how we became part of this. So I'm part of a conglomerate called Publicis Group. Most of you have probably heard of Publicis as an advertising conglomerate. It is. It's 100,000 people strong around the world. So I belong to Publicis Philippines, and I'm its chief digital officer. We've been here for 50 years, but most of our growth has actually come from the last 10. And a lot of it has to do with Arthur Sadoun, who is our chairman, who actually grew the organization from a top 5 position to now number 1 around the world in marketing communications. And a lot of this happened because of our pivot to digital solutions, and that happened in the last 3 years. And one day he disappeared. And most of us didn't know what happened, but this was in the middle of the pandemic. And essentially, he started to miss meetings, and at one point, he just, disappeared. And he came back several months later, and he told us that he was recovering from cancer. And that in itself was a life-changing experience for him. And because of that, he actually advocated, and together we launched a program called Working with Cancer. I think to demonstrate that better, I'll show you a video.
I'll be back at work on Monday.
You okay? It's cancer. We're gonna help you, so I don't know if I'll make it. You'll get through this.
Hi.
You gonna be okay?
She's come back to work. It's okay.
Now welcome back. Let's come do something.
Let's do it.
So the objective is very straightforward. It's really for corporations all around the world to pledge to erase the stigma of cancer from all companies. And when I say pledge, this isn't a financial pledge. First, it's a pledge for us to educate and create awareness within our organizations. The next is a pledge to integrate HR initiatives aimed at prevention. So these are levels of commitment. And the third is to support employee-patient and employee caregiver programs from within each organization. Oftentimes, especially in countries like the Philippines and in Southeast Asia in general, fear actually makes the outcomes inevitable. 50% of cancer patients or people who suffer from cancer in countries like the Philippines choose not to disclose their condition to their employers for fear of losing their jobs. But the truth is, at least from our experience in the last 3 years, there is a 35% increase on the impact of survival when there is a perception of support, not just from the family, but even from the workplace. So pledging holds the power to influence outcomes. So how has this program grown in the last 3 years since Arthur launched it? 2,500 companies around the world. More than 40 million employees impacted. And I'm happy to say, actually, in the Philippines, we lead Southeast Asia. This has scaled across multiple companies, and you see their logos here. But none of this would have been possible without the informed support by our partners around the world. So while this started with Memorial Sloan Kettering, for example, in the EU and in the US, we were actually able to bring in partners like the Healthware Cancer Care Hospital here in the Philippines. And as a start, that was great. It actually allowed us to reach many companies, but we hope to grow this even more. So the partnership started in October 2023. It was the core partners originally started with Publicis, AC Health, and PMAP. We thought that one positive entry point would be talk to the HR professionals around the Philippines. And now we think that by talking to the chairman, the CEOs, and senior executives from Philippine companies, it can only add momentum to working with cancer being adopted in every company. So what do we bring to the table? We work with the companies, we provide you the tools and the assets. That includes everything from knowledge and actual marketing and promotional material that you can use to create awareness within your companies. So things like this. You can actually have programs in your cafeterias, in your hallways, even in your elevators. So a lot of these things, the messaging, the toolkits, we will provide. Second, we can help guide on HR policy. Thanks to our global partnerships, we can actually bring a lot of this knowledge to you. So things like this, right? So we actually have conversation guides for managers when talking to workers who are sick. We have checklists. We have documents. So we will work with your HR departments to help deploy these kits in your companies. And you have special programs, like in Publicis itself, we've modified our sick leaves. So we actually now give leave for people to take screenings. So it's not counted against their sick leaves or their vacation leaves, but it empowers them to make the choice to get screened, no matter how busy they are at the office. And that's actually worked very well, especially for our younger employees. So these are actually 3 ladies who opted to take screenings this year. Sorry, the ages are wrong. It's actually 34, 28, and Lavinia is actually 24. So Gen Zs are actually conscious about their health. And by providing them with screening opportunities, it actually goes a long way in actually creating that kind of bond between the workplace and them as individuals. I think our biggest challenge now is to convince more men to get screenings. So. And finally, we can connect you with partners who can enable your programs. For the last 2-3 years, that's actually been the AC Health and the Healthway Cancer Care Hospital. And through their help, we've been able to bring many companies into the program. So right now, actually, like I mentioned before, the Philippines actually ranks as the first in Southeast Asia. Before I end and I turn you over back to Paulo, who will tell you about some of our ideas on how to bring the program into MAP, I'd like to end with a testimonial video from one of my colleagues. We feel that she actually makes the case for why working with cancer belongs in every Filipino company.
My name is Odi Nunez. I am a mother of 2 from the Philippines, and in the last quarter of 2024, I was diagnosed with stage 2B cervical cancer, a moment that changed my life forever. It started with continuous bleeding. I hoped it was just a phase of premenopause, but when I saw the word carcinoma in my biopsy results, I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. I was scared, confused, and overwhelmed. No one in my family had ever been diagnosed with cancer, so it came as a complete shock. My mind raced with fears. My children, my husband, our mortgage, the cost of treatment, and even the thought of losing my hair. And at the same time, I was in the middle of building my business unit in Publicis, Apex, and cancer was the last thing I expected. From the very beginning, my boss, Tina, knew something was going on. So when I finally confirmed it was cancer, I had to be honest with her about the treatment ahead. I shared my fears, especially the financial burden. I was on a video call with her, and my husband was beside me when she responded with something I'll never forget. She said, Publicis will cover whatever the agent will not. My husband and I sat there in stunned silence, and then we cried. I had heard about the Working with Cancer program when our CEO, Arthur Sadun, announced it. I remember feeling so proud that our company promised job security for employees facing cancer. But I never realized how deeply the promise extended. That moment lifted a huge weight off our shoulders and gave us the courage to begin the treatment with hope. With this support, I was given the best care, the best cancer care available in the Philippines. My treatment started on January 15 and ended on May 28, 2025. Today, I am here in remission. I carry with me not just the scars of a battle fought, but the strength of a community that stood by me. Cancer may have shaken my world, but it also revealed the depth of compassion, the power of solidarity, and the true meaning of being part of a family, not just at home, but at work. I am Audie Nunez, and I'm a mother, a survivor, and forever proud to be part of a company that doesn't just talk about care, but lives it, breathes it, and stands by it. Because of Publicis and the Working with Cancer program, I am here, I am healing, and I am home.
So I'll like to pass you back to Paulo.
So thank you to Dave and to Publicis and to Audie for her inspiring message. And what I will say is Audie is one of many that we've been helping, no? And the problem is very real. I think in many of the organizations, many of our large groups, organizations, we are seeing many patients from different enterprises. And I think for us, as part of our 75th anniversary, our launching of this program today is also a challenge to everyone and a call for action and a call to support how we can launch Working with Cancer in our respective organizations. So how can we make a difference? I've learned that it really all starts from the top. And I think with CEOs, COOs, CFOs, business owners in attendance, it's really our responsibility to be able to sponsor, endorse, and launch this campaign in our respective institutions. As members of MAP, I encourage all of us, I invite all of us to look into your respective health programs and ensure that cancer and cancer awareness and cancer screening is one of them. The campaign invites all of us, all MAP members, to pledge for the Working with Cancer program and commit to launching cancer awareness programs, creating tailor-fit campaigns in your respective organizations that will benefit both your employees at risk and, more importantly, your employees who are working with cancer, and as Dave said, some of whom you might not even know. So, our goal at MAP is to drive at least 750. So as part of our 75th anniversary, our goal is to launch 750 new pledges to the Working with Cancer program. And I hope you all will find a way to support. The pledge is very easy. The first step, if you decide to commit, there is a website, which in a Dave. Please tell your respective HR and comms teams to go to this website, workingwithcancerpledge.com. If you have no existing cancer screening programs yet, we're happy to help you kick things off. with awareness and screening campaigns for your own teams and provide any advisory support you might need. We also look forward to the leadership and support of the members of the Health Committee. And by no means is this exclusive to any one organization. We're all here to help. And actually on that note, I'd like to thank Dr. Beaver, Asian Hospital, St. Luke's is here. I'd like to thank our PHAP partners, MSD, AstraZeneca, Roche, and everyone else who's here, because this is a collective campaign. And together, our challenge is for, again, 750 companies to participate. As part of the campaign, we are offering 75 free executive checkups with cancer screening, 75 free HPV vaccines, 75 free lung cancer initial screenings, and 75 free mammograms. No? And that's all part of the program that our chairman, Al Panlilio, will be launching as well during our 75th anniversary ball. And finally, taking things a step further, as one MAP, the board is also very eager to extend this support by raising 7.5 million in pooled funds for individuals and communities in need of cancer care. This is our commitment as your MAP board, and we look forward to everyone's support. In closing, I'd like to thank Dave, Publicis, the members of our health committee, chaired by our chairwoman, Rack, our MAP board, and of course to all of our pioneer pledgers who have already taken a step forward for the Working with Cancer campaign, and to thank in advance the 750 of us who will be joining this fight. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at wwc@acehealth.com.ph. But again, on behalf of your chairman and our board, we want to say thank you to everyone, and we look forward to everyone's support in this fight against cancer. Thank you again, and good day to everyone.
Thank you so much, Governor Paulo. We can remove the stigma of cancer in the workplace, and given that we probably have about more than 300 members here, probably equivalent to 300 companies, that's already almost half of our target. So do I hear a yes from MAP members that you are participating in this program? Yes? Ang hina. Come on, you can do better. Do I hear a yes? All right, so please do the listing already today. So we have about 300 that are already participating in this program, Governor Paula. All right, so in Health Committee, we have a lot of gimmicks, okay? So we started this health stroll this year, and happy to share with you that there are so many that participated this time that we had to move our registration towards the front of the ballroom. So let me encourage you to all visit the booths at the foyer, okay, that are showcasing various health services, pharma, medical, or diagnostics offering from MEP member organizations. Being shown on the screen, again, are the names of our 13 exhibitors. Before, we only had like maybe 4 or 5. Now it's 13. Hopefully, we can encourage more of MEP members to show your products and services so that we get to know also you as a member. So we'd like to thank Asian Hospital and Medical Center, AstraZeneca Pharmaceutical Philippines, Ayala Healthcare Holdings or AC Health, Cardinal Santos Medical Center, CareTech Health, okay, this one I need to pronounce properly, Sant Medical International or CMI, Merck Sharp or MSD, just because I cannot pronounce the dome. You know, we have the PhilHealth team that's here in that booth over there, so please visit that booth. We also would like to thank Roche, St. Luke's Medical, the Medical City, and Working with Cancer, we have Publicis. All right, now, before we go to the induction, I'd like to first share with you a new technology that we'd like to to share with you, only because it's another gimmick. Remember, in previous GMMs that we host as a health committee, we always ask for your executive checkup, how old you are, etc. This time, we'd like to share with you a new technology, and this is going to be via the screen, and it's going to be a live demo. Please allow me to do a shameless plugging of our partner in CareTech Health, SureCheck, who is the exclusive distributor of facial AI technology from Israel called Bina Check. Using only a 40-second selfie video on your mobile phone, okay, the app is able to provide over a dozen health measures to the user, from heart rate, breathing rate, oxygen saturation, blood pressure, stress levels, even sugar reading like HbA1c. I tried this a couple of months ago. I was skeptical because I saw that my sugar was high at 45 years old. Kidding, I'm 55. And then I went to a diagnostic center just to check, and boy, the results are spot on. However, this is not the gold standard. The gold standard is still diagnostic centers. And so this is kind of like some sort of a screening, different from what you have on your mobile phones and your watch. So can we now show a quick demo? This is just 40 seconds. I have Johnny Bondoc on the screen using his mobile phone. And what he's doing is is doing 40-second selfie, all right? And after the 40-second, you will see the results. While we're waiting, I'm happy to tell you that everyone here is going to be given a free demo for 30 days. Please go to the booth of CareTech. Give your, I think they're going to ask for your email address as a credential for this so that you can try it. It is not yet available in the market. This is the first time that we are doing this, but we just wanted to give you some, gimmick. Okay, so there you go. So the score is 6 out of 10. Johnny, you gotta go to Medical City or Healthway there. Okay, but breathing rate is normal. All right. Okay, respiratory. So bottom line is, can you show, please, that it is going to be in your email? And so this is an indicative, again, just a quick screening, but I tell you that it's spot on. So if you're interested, please go to the booth. And then go to the other booths for some freebies because, thank you, Johnny, we have Watson's exclusive for AccuCheck. You can also go to CMI, who's giving 5% discount. They already have our MAP directory, so you can just quickly go for your executive checkup. Same thing with Fullerton Health. And MSD is also giving some freebies right there outside. So please visit our booths. Okay, now, at this point, for the presentation of new MAP members for induction, I would like to call on the or Vice Chair of the Membership Committee, Attorney Dick Du Baladad.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am pleased to announce that this afternoon we are inducting 10 new MAP members who will increase MAP's total membership from 1,263 to 1,273. May I now read the names of our inductees? We have Aleli Hernandez Arcilia, Managing Director of Mondelez Philippines, Inc. Do we have Aleli? And then we have Mr. Christian Argos, the President and CEO of MaxiCare Healthcare Corporation. Sponsors, Rene Almendras and Paulo Borromeo. The third is Angelito Lito Bermudo, Chair of Mitsubishi Power Philippines, Inc., Line of Business, Manufacturer and Industrial Boilers. Sponsors, Jeng Pascual and Secretary Rene Almendras. Then we have Brazil Ambassador Zilberto Fonseca Gimarares Demura. Sponsors, Mr. Mike Makatangay and Ambassador Ilan Flos. We have Dr. Beverly Lorraine Ho, Chief Health Officer of AC Health, and sponsors are Paulo Borromeo and Secretary Rene Almendras. We have Dr. Erica Phil Tupas Legara, Managing Director and Chief AI and Data Officer of Center for AI Research, Simeo Inotech, Line of Business, Research for Innovation and Adoption Capacity Building, and AI Policy Research. Sponsors, Mike Makatangay and Jane Lobos. We have Jasper Manlapas, Head of External Affairs of Copenhagen Infrastructure Service Company. Line of Business, Energy Consultancy Services. Sponsors, Reza Goyeneche and Reggie Casas. Then we have Nathaniel Nat Ordasa Marquez, President and CEO of eBiz Solution, Inc., Line of Business, Systems Integration and Technology Services. Sponsors, Marife Zamora and Rene Almendras. Then we have Michael Mix Nieves, CEO and co-founder of Mount Fuji Lending. Line of Business, Lending. Sponsors, Sandeep Chandiramani and Secretary Rene Almendras. And the last is Mr. Rafael Jaime Resho, Chief Strategy and Investment Officer of AC Health. Sponsors, Paulo Borromeo and Rene Almendras. At this point, I would like to call back MAP Treasurer Wilson Tan to lead the induction of the new MAP members. Please all rise to add solemnity to the occasion.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby solemnly pledge that I will perform well and faithfully to the best of my ability my duties as a regular member in order to contribute to the achievement of the objectives of the Management Association of the Philippines. So help me God. Congratulations and welcome to MAP.
All right. Congratulations to the new MAP members. Please let us all welcome and give another warm round of applause to the new MAP members. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you are going to be active in the committees that we have. Okay, so maybe I request everyone to take your seats so that we can now proceed to the highlight of this GMM. It's usually like this, no? People really like just saying hello. But you can do that later. So if I may request everyone to take your seats. We will now proceed to the highlight of this GMM. And in line with the MAP policy and the interest of time, we will dispense with the lengthy introduction of the guests, the speaker, and the panelists. Their profiles will be flashed on the screen. All right, let's now listen to our guest speaker, the Acting President and CEO of PhilHealth. Please welcome Dr. Edwin Mercado.
Pleasant good noon to everybody. I know this is a difficult time of the day to lecture or to deliver a speech, as we are all probably experiencing some post-hypoxic lunch, meaning blood flows into the stomach more to the brain, makes you sleepy. But again, thanks very much to the Management Association of the Philippines, now our Vice President Attorney Michael Toledo, my good friend, Mr. Paulo Borromeo, Governor in charge of the MAP Health Committee, who's a business colleague and a good friend. My co-panelists, Mr. Sean Argos, PCEO of MaxiCare, and Dr. Beaver Tamesis, PCEO of Asian Hospital, who's my senior in residency. So it shows my age. He's our terror in Guason Hall, which is where we present our post-morbidity and mortality conference. And also, of course, the officers, board of directors, representatives of HMOs and hospitals, and MAP members, board of director of the MAPs. Thank you very much for the invitation. So when I was surprisingly appointed by our dear beloved president to become CEO of PhilHealth, a lot of people approached me and said, "What help do you need? And why did you accept it?" So as I answered in the first press con is, pinagdasal ko po na mabuti. Kasi when I applied to the PhilHealth, I was applying for a sectoral representative of the provider sector as a board member. Little did I know that I was considered pala to be the CEO. But I have to take on the challenge, and this is where I am at now. I would like to thank also a lot of the MAP members, which I will not name na, because they really offered help. They offered help. How can we help you in the finance angle? How can we help you in the IT solution? How can we help you in the processes? So very, very thankful po ako dyan. But moving forward, talagang I need to run fast. Kaya I drafted a very quick 30-day agenda initially, and which I will show you later. But just to start off, what is basically an understanding of a social health insurance? And as you would see here, this is a three-dimensional table that usually is used to show that ideal social health insurance, and in particular, delivering universal health care, by the mere fact of universality means you will cover all the population, increase your service coverage, and the third dimension is decrease your out-of-pocket expense. But universality, which means everybody is covered, which in our UHC law means at the point of care you're automatically covered, does not necessarily translate to access. Kasi you go to a hospital, hindi naman available yung service. You are given this opportunity to access healthcare in a region, hindi naman available yung equipment. So it's not automatically translating to access. So that is my problem right now, how to we're creating market demand by being the biggest payer, yet yung supply side is still lagging behind. And that's what I will be asking help. Usually is what I'm asking help from the private sector. And we are a progressive type of social health insurance. Social health insurance means everybody has a social contract to keep the fund going. And the more successful social health insurance is when you have progressive premium payment, meaning the richer pay more. Because we cannot rely mostly on just subsidy from the national government. So as I mentioned, our 3-point agenda when I came in was, we tagged it as RISE mission. 30 months forward, it doesn't mean that I'm looking at staying on for 30 months because the average lifespan of a PhilHealth president is 1 year, 12 months. But just the same, we drew a roadmap, 30 days at a time. So every 30 days po, I present to the internal to the corporation and the board 3 major areas where I am trying to make a difference. One po is the regaining member trust and provider trust. So who are our members? So the members are the Filipino people. And how do you regain their trust? By covering more of their healthcare expense. And our providers are also a very important stakeholder component. And we want to regain their trust so that they can offer more services and align with more of the benefit programs that the PhilHealth is rolling out by paying them fast. So Dr. Beaver, who texted me every day, "Ba't ang bagal mo magbayad? Bakit ang tagal?" So I work on it. Sige, pupuntahin ko kaagyan yung aking finance person. So nare-recon po naman. Pero the cycle of claims payment kasi is not just on PhilHealth, it's also on the provider to file the proper documents. But again, my trust is to keep them happy. So now I'm having programs, I'm making programs na at the point of e-claims filing pa lang, Dr. Beaver, magkakaroon na ng front-loading authentication of the documents that are needed, that needs to be attached to the claims. Para hindi na ma-RTH. RTH po means return to hospital. Kasi when the claims go through and we assess it, that's 45 days to 60 days. We return to the hospital another 60 days. So it's already 120 days. And half of the reason for the RTH are the incomplete document attachments. So we're trying to do an upfront validation of the documents. The next is the ease of administrative burden. So we're really reviewing all our processes, including our legal adjudication process. Kasi sabi niya, PhilHealth is so lucky. You're already the accuser, you're also the judge, and you're the executioner, all rolled in one. But that's already included in our law kasi. So we're trying to do a more humanistic approach. And I'm putting in a mediation process where before the case is elevated to the court, which is in our internal court, there's already mediation, especially on the technical side, with the likes of PMA, the Philippine Surgeons Associations, all the subspecialty societies to help mitigate or adjudicate the case. And then strengthening institutional capacity. So I initially put up a technical advisory group composed really of experts. Pero slowly po, naalis din yung technical advisory group ko. Why? Because they get appointed as cabinet secretaries. So my first tack include, for example, Henry Aguda, who is now the secretary of the DICT. But before he accepted the DICT position, he promised me, "Doc, hindi kita iiwan." Kasi alam ko, ang laki ng problema ng PhilHealth. So true enough, he's still helping me. So given those strategies, we should have a roadmap. So our roadmap really is aligned with the Philippine Development Plan on increasing the support value of PhilHealth. Now, in this chart, you will see a chart or a pie graph showing that 44.4% of the total healthcare spend of Filipinos are from out-of-pocket. Health economics dictate that this should be lowered down to 25%. So that the catastrophic spending, which is defined as spending more than 10% of the household income of the family, net of basic expenses, is already considered catastrophic. So even the middle-class Filipino is just a sickness away from poverty. So our intent is really to bring it up to bring it down, to 25 to 35, and the support value of PhilHealth to already cover the basic accommodations, which are the wards, in the government and even in the private sector hospitals. In the government, we're already up to 85%. In the private sector, we're still at 35 to 45. But we're working hard, and it's not just a PhilHealth issue po because the issue is access to affordable medicines, availability of all the medicines that should be included in what we are paying, which is also a factor of a health technology assessment requirement of the Universal Healthcare Law. How to control the professional fees of doctors. Kasi po, whenever we increase our support value, the doctors' fees also double. So those are the things that I am confronted with. But what are we doing to address in terms of the responsiveness of the PhilHealth benefits? Kasi po, every time I go to the Senate and the House of Representatives, there are obviously a lot of lobby groups asking our lawmakers, Sir, pauna naman yung ganitong sakit, pauna naman yung ganitong procedures. So, mahirap po. It's very difficult if you have all these benefits being hodgepodgely created. That's why we are drafting now a roadmap for our benefit rollout, considering 3 factors. One is the cost that is in the y-axis. The x-axis is your mortality, morbidity data, which diseases really cause a lot of, kumbaga they're the most morbid of all diseases. These are what you call diseases that affect your disability-adjusted life years. Now, when that disease hits you, for example, a stroke, then, and you get paralyzed, basically your productivity is decreased by half. So we have this grid where you have the priority A, B, C, D, which shows also which are the high burden, high financial, to the lowest, which are the low burden and low financial. And out of that, we now have a list. Now, the list that we came up, we also match with what you call the ICER, or which are there available treatment that are cost-effective. Kasi it may be high in the catastrophic and the financial risk, but if there's no evidence-based treatment yet, unfortunately, we will be spending more money on unpredictable outcome. We would rather spend it on something with a more predictable and good outcome. So it's a small, we can share it if you want. But basically, the basic premise is we initially do curative and rehabilitative intervention. So this is usually for catastrophic spending, what we call the Z package. So there are basically 3 types of payment in PhilHealth. One is the all-case rates, which is just a mean-tested way of may pneumonia ka, magkano across all the hospitals. This is the mean, then this is what we will cover. To a Z benefit package, which are the more catastrophic disease like cancer, kidney transplant, open heart surgeries, where we do really bottom-up or top-down costing. When you say bottom-up, it's activity-based costing. We determine the standard of care and then take in how much is a CT scan, how much are the lab tests, how much are the operating expense, doing an activity-based costing. And then we benchmark across the different hospitals. And the third is the reinforced case rates. Good example is our acute myocardial infarct we just raised recently. Di ba, Dr. Tamesis, ang daming acute myocardial infarct. Nagrereklamo lang daw siya, bakit hindi daw siya nababayaran. Nandun na ho yung check-in nyo, pinaayos ko na. So yung pong mga acute myocardial infarct, we divided across the continuity of care and then provided case rates for each segment of the care. So which means it opened also the opportunity for more supply-side providers. Then in step 2, we're looking at really pivoting to primary care. Last year, our budget for primary care is only 1.8 billion. This year, we're putting it up to 35 to 40 billion. And that is because we're going to expand our basic primary care program. This is the Consulta. Antayin na lang po natin in the next few days because we will be giving a very earth-shaking announcement, if you may call it. The consulta po is paid by capitation. It's per member per year. So capitation means it's a risk pool. You put it in one pot because by actuary, not all the patients will require medicines. Not all patients will require labs. Not all patients will be sick. But we caution naman not to be what we call cream skimming. Kasi we should enroll all the people regardless of status, whether they're old, young, sick, or healthy. Because that practically is what the intent of the primary care is for everybody. Now the gamot will be carved out and we will provide a separate fund for the gamot. And then the outpatient labs will be carved out. Very timely, the lecture earlier is on cancer. We will start with cancer packages. And the cancer is going to shift from being diagnostic to screening. So anong ibig sabihin po nun? Before kasi you get a mammogram only if you feel a lump or there's a discharge from the breast or if there's already an indication. So may sakit na kayo. Ngayon po, we will do it based on the Philippine healthcare standards and the WHO healthcare standards that when you reach 40 years old, mammogram ka na kahit wala ka nararamdaman. Colonoscopy ka na at 45 years old. Alpha-fetoprotein ka na at a certain age. So we will be covering basic cancers initially, but it's going to be more screening and not diagnostic. The other circle here is the SDG benefits. So on top of the primary care, we have siloed program already on severe acute malnutrition, on TB, on HIV, on optometry service, on dental service. So parang lahat po yun, we will already incorporate into the consulta package. So very clear that the role of the primary care is going to be really important because they are the ones who will make sure there are ears and eyes on the ground to make sure that these tests are indicated. So basically po, talagang the very concept of a primary gatekeeper is to make sure you stay healthy and not get sick. Because this is not going to be sustainable. As I said, we're looking at pivoting and spending 30 to 50 billion pesos this year. By next year, it will go up to 70 to 80 billion. And it's not sustainable if we keep on utilizing it. The intent is to make sure the patients are healthy such that their utilization of inpatient benefit care will go down and the savings will now be diverted to primary care. So that's a better use of our money than paying for when you get sick. And the outcome pa is not sure because here, you catch the patient early, outcomes are better. And then the yellow one is the outpatient ER benefit package. We now cover also the members' bills in the emergency room even if they are not admitted. Meaning po, the PhilHealth before only covers and you need to stay in the hospital for 24 hours at least. Parang it behooves us that why are we requiring them to stay for 24 hours and pay more if they can be treated on an outpatient basis. So we're now covering the ER outpatient package. And just yesterday, the board also approved coverage of the ambulance. So hintayin nyo na lang po, even the ambulance will now be covered for emergency cases. Hindi po, iba po yung patient transport vehicle. The ambulance are the one that will require you an EMT, a doctor, all the different resuscitative equipment and medicines on board. So what has the improvement been so far? So along the lines of improving our benefit package, we already parang granted an amnesty for all denied claims from January 2018 to December 31, 2024 that were denied because of lapse of the 60-day filing period. We are not changing the 60-day filing period. Why? Because we don't want to naman send to our providers that were lax because we still want discipline among our providers that they submit their claims within 60 days. So those who submit claims kasi beyond 60 days, automatically the system will deny it. So we lifted it for that period of time because that's the time we already have computer records of their claims. So that's worth almost 9 billion pesos that we're starting to pay. We removed the 40-day benefit limit. The 45-day benefit limit was an archaic system because before PhilHealth pays, I think it's in the time of Medicare, for those who still remember Medicare, because we pay on a per day. Now that it's a case rate, as I mentioned earlier, or a package C package rate, doesn't matter. I pay the hospital one bill, it's up to you. If you keep the patient for 60 days, 90 days, I pay you the same. So we lifted the 45-day limit. And then there are enhancement of the cataracts and dengue, provisions of coverage for ischemic heart disease, including acute myocardial infarct, as mentioned earlier, the outpatient emergency care package, and the Z benefit for open heart surgeries. And in the pipeline, as I mentioned, upfront validation of claims, we are looking at incentivizing compliant hospitals. Actually, there was an Inspire conference of the ADB last week, and we have the ministers and the social health insurance presidents of several Asian countries. I got to talk to Pakistan and Indonesia, and they said, you know, Doc, if we pay beyond 15 days, we get penalized. So buti na lang dito, Dr. Beaver, kahit 60 days kami, hindi kami nape-penalize. Nape-penalize yung hospital. So it's unfair, but I hear you. I'm trying to shorten it. But if you're a compliant hospital, I will even dare to say I can pay you in 7 days. Why? Because if you're compliant, I will not do pre-audit. I will just do post-audit. When you say no pre-audit, bayaran ka na kagad, total, I can recover if I find some defect in your claims later on. So those are things that we're looking at to fast track for compliant hospitals. So I'm not saying for all hospitals, but only for compliant hospitals. Now, another shift in the universal healthcare is the manner we pay the hospitals. Kasi right now, we bore the risk of paying all the claims. Even though we have our auditing and also standard of care evaluation. But still, we pay everything that was filed with us. So the modern economic trend is now to share the risk between the provider and the payer. And that is by establishing a health network where payment will now be what you call prospective. And by prospective payments, there are a lot of types pa po. But when you say prospective, parang in common man's lingo, we're already prepaying you for your supposed service because historically we can say, or your hospital does 20 normal deliveries a day, a month, you do 30 appendectomies a month. We will already prepay you on those volume that we already experienced prior to. And in the whole scheme of things, it will also encourage you to become more efficient because as you consume more and the payment is already fixed, there will be issues that we will not cover or there will be cases we will not cover. Those are called never events. Never events is wrong side surgery. Never event is when you have a bed sores because you're supposed to take care of the patients and not have bed sores. Hospital-acquired pneumonias, falls, repeat admission in less than 7 days because your treatment quality is not that good. So those are never events that we eventually will not cover. And this is along the basic economic concept of the control knob, which was espoused by William Shaw, my professor in health systems in Harvard, Mark Roberts, Peter Bierman, and Michael Reich, that there are 5 knobs. And this is practically what is incorporated in our UHC law. Number 1 is financing. How do you raise financing? We're very fortunate. We're the benchmark for sin taxes, supposedly earmarked for healthcare. And I hope the Supreme Court decides on it being a hard earmark consolidated into the GAA. So every year we bill the national government, and these are the ones covering direct members. Number 2 po is the financing. As I showed earlier, if it's a fee-for-service, we're taking the risk. If it's a prospective payment, we jointly share the risk. Number 3 is the organization. It's similar po to the accountable care organization in the US. That's once a member is attributed to you, you make sure she stays healthy. Kasi if you consume more and you don't do good care, then your credit line of UMIL or your e-wallet will eventually be consumed. And then, of course, regulation, and then the other one is communication or persuasion. So the change in prospective payment will only make sense if we change also our computation of the claims of the hospital. As I mentioned kanina po, di ba, there are 3 types: all case rates, C-package, reinforced case rates. But those are just mean-tested average. Paano po kung ang pasyente has comorbidities? Paano if the pasyente has multiple surgeries? Right now, we only cover 1. The DRG will now cover all the complications. So you would see in the current ACR, in this case, this is pneumonia, the coverage is 29,250. But if you factor the difference due to comorbidities, to age, it will now have a differential pricing. And precisely why we're doing ESOA now is to build up a library of prices, because we can do a lot of modifications. Like if you're serving a GIDA, which is called a geographically isolated or disadvantaged area, we can factor in a higher price to pay you higher, to incentivize more providers in the GIDA areas. If you're a research hospital or a training academic hospital, because you keep the patients longer for research and for study of your students, we will also give you a higher modifier rate. So magiging equitable na po. And when you already have the DRG in place, then mas maganda na yung global payment, kasi we more or less would factor in all the inherent complications of the cases that go to each specific hospital. So meaning, if you're a PGH, you'll probably get more in terms of our global payment because you take care of more complicated cases. Parang you're the hospital of last resort ang PGH pag hindi na kaya ng mga regional hospitals. And this is my graph that I show how to illustrate what we mean by a prospective payment. The one on your left is a fee-for-service payment. So you have a fixed cost, you have your variable cost. Your variable costs are obviously all the implements that you put in, your medicines per patient. The fixed cost is the fixed cost, your manpower, your interest expense, depreciation. So here, the more you do, the more you eat. And it behooves us that more patients, I'm not saying all, more providers obviously tend to overuse the system. On your right side, it's more prospective. So we already agree, okay, papakyawin ko na yung services mo. Ito yung ating agreement. So the more you do, the less your margins will be. But what is the counterpoint here? Baka i-deny naman ng care ng hospitals dahil syempre, may margins akong pinoprotect. So we will be also monitoring your outcome. Given this volume of patients and this volume of money, did your unnecessary admission rate increase? Did your stroke cases increase and heart attack increase? So this means it needs a very robust EMR system, which we're also developing, again, with some of you here in the private sector and members of MAP. And when you go towards targeted treatment, you would see here that it's not really that difficult because the chart here shows that the sickest 10% of the population accounts for 65% of the expense. So you just take care of the 10 sickest population, which you can easily identify when you do your primary care screening. And eventually, we may even do AI predictive analytics because we are going to set up a health data repository where all the registries of the DOH, all the EMRs of the providers, all the electronic health records of the different hospitals will be lodged. So we can already predict even the newborn screening at birth. So at birth pa lang, and hopefully eventually genomics, you can also enter all the data and hopefully be predictive of who will probably get sicker than the rest and really take care of them. So imagine the savings we will have if we do that already initial red flagging. So in a nutshell po, yun yung aming ginagawa, and I hope and I am really appealing for all your help. It's really po very difficult, but I think in the 5 months that I've been in office, meron na naman pong nararamdaman yung ating miyembro. Mas konti na po yung basher namin doon sa, sa social media. Medyo positive na po yung response, and hopefully nga with these new products, that new benefit package that we will launch, they will really realize a new PhilHealth that is mabilis, mapagkakatiwalaan at patas. So thank you very much po, and I'm open to answer your questions po during the open forum.
All right, so thank you so much, President Dr. Edwin Mercado. If I may ask you to please take your seat in the middle, and now we will proceed to the panel discussion and Q&A. May I now call on our panelists, my good friend, Mr. Sean Argos, President and CEO of MaxiCare Healthcare Corporation, and now new member of the MAP. Please join us on stage. Sean and I have known each other for more than 20 years now, no, Sean? Gosh. And also, Dr. Beaver Tamesis, President and CEO of Asian Hospital and Medical Center, and member of the MAP Health Committee. We'd like to also call on our Q&A moderator for today, the Corporate Finance Advisor of FMC Research Solutions, and a member of the MAP Health Committee. Please welcome Mr. Raul Villegas. All right, there are microphones on the floor for your use in asking your questions. Again, we always remind everyone, when you ask your questions, please be brief, please refrain from making a speech, and please wait to be acknowledged before you ask your questions. So Raul, take it away, and let's listen in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mercado, for the illuminating presentation. The first question I have as a thought starter, and perhaps something that weighs on our audience's mind, is in light of the zero government subsidy and other funding challenges faced by PhilHealth for 2025, how can regulators, insurers, and providers explore alternative funding mechanisms or partnerships to ensure the sustainability of universal health care while keeping costs manageable for employers and employees? Are we looking at a premium increase in the near future? And certainly that's something that might weigh on people's minds.
Thank you for the question. Ano po? We have a saying in Batangas, pag maiksi ang kumot, mamaluktot ka. So when I came in and I said, I need to look at all your budgets, the first thing we slash is the anniversary budget. So yun po, very controversial yun. So we had those savings, and I also streamlined all our other activities. So the first po is internal, and also making sure there are efficiencies. Second po, we're looking at really improving our collection efficiency. Right now, our collection efficiency for the private sector, which I will be asking help from MAP, is only at 80%. And even the total labor workforce that is supposed to be in our membership, we're only at 70% listed in our membership. So those are things that are within our control, because the GAA is definitely not within our control. So it's basically internal efficiencies and making sure that we cut down on wastes, and then increasing our efficiencies in terms of collection. I would, sana nga, and very good that Sean Argos is here, also would like, kasi nga we're covering the first peso And basically, sabi nga ni Sean, nararamdaman daw ng HMOs, and that's coming from Sean, that's not nagbubuhat ng bangko ko, but it's more Sean. Sana we can work together on now covering the areas that we do not cover. So it will come out as a complementing. Kasi I showed you po a list of diseases that we'll be covering based on the study we did, and there are still some diseases that are not covered. So baka, Sir Sean, pwede na sa inyo yung optometric services for the elderly, yung pustiso, which are mostly cosmetic, they're not usually covered. Pero those are things that we can talk about.
Sean, would you like to comment on Dr. Mercado's answer?
Well, we're both payers. So when you look at HMOs and health insurance companies, we're aligned with the mission and the objectives of the biggest payer in the country, which is PhilHealth. If you look at universal healthcare law, HMOs have a role in law. We are the complementary payer to PhilHealth. We're the second peso. We're the second payer. So also rooted in the law is a complementation of benefits. So there should be a clear definition and delineation of who pays for what. And we need to be talking the same language. So that's why I think with PhilHealth's plan under Doc Edwin to really tackle this problem, move into standard means of coding and get more claim information that allows payers like us to coordinate with the national payer like PhilHealth, so wala ngang overlap. Kasi costs are just going to increase it. So we need to pool different sources of funding. PhilHealth, out of pocket, which is the last peso dapat. Last peso na yan, dapat close to zero yan. And in between, we will bridge what PhilHealth covers and what should be an out of pocket, which is zero. And that's where we come in. And it's really about alignment, both from a payer perspective, one payer aligning with another payer, and also aligning on the provider side. Kasi the payer and provider should also integrate and coordinate. So I think we're very aligned with PhilHealth, and we're very excited to see what we can do together.
Thank you for that. And we'd like to open up the floor for questions from the audience. When you approach the mic, please address the question to any of our panelists and identify yourself and your organization before asking your question. So the floor is open for questions, and I see Mr. Tony Lopez, the respected journalist and member of MAP.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Your presentation makes you sound like an economist, not a doctor, not a pro-people doctor, masyadong cost-profit oriented. My question, and answer me directly, sir. Is PhilHealth bankrupt?
Hindi po. Kasi there's a provision in the law that the state guarantees the survivability and the viability of PhilHealth.
How much are your assets? How much are your assets?
Currently po, I will only talk about our cash on hand, which basically is a combination of our retained earnings.
Yeah, how much is that?
About 480 billion.
480 billion. How much benefits do you dish out every year?
The last po is 187.
So in 4 years, your assets will be gone?
But we have collection po every year eh. PhilHealth is
normally, for an insurance company like yours, you should have a lifespan of 20 years.
That's the difference between po
I think you are bankrupt.
That's the free difference po between a social health insurance.
If you are going to borrow from a bank with a 4-year cash flow, like that, you won't be able to borrow.
Sir, we're not a for-profit health insurance. We're a social health insurance. And in fact, in most countries, the medical loss ratio, which is the amount of expense paid out, is up to 85 to 90% of your yearly collection. Our yearly collection from the formal sector is about 240 billion.
If they are not for profit,
and all our collection from the... Sir, I'm still talking, sir.
No, my question is, if you are not for profit...
That's why I'm explaining, sir. Where are my sources of funds,
Can I finish my question? If you are not for profit, why did you present charts like gross profit, expenses like that, if you are not for profit?
If I may just also manage the questions on the floor, we would like to remind everyone to just... Yes, po, we will ask the speaker for the answer to your questions. There's several, but we also would like to give a chance to other members on the floor to ask their questions. So to give the Dr. Edwin Mercado to answer that last question of yours, and then we will now proceed to Rex Drilon, who I know had asked me for his question. Also next would be Marisa Del Mar, and then Sherwin.
Yes, let's keep the conversation flowing and not interrupt each other and be respectful of each other's time.
Thank you, Rak. Thank you, Dr. Mercado, for a very enlightening presentation. In preparing for this general membership meeting today, I did a little research and understand that there are 3 major strategic challenges that PhilHealth has. I'll go beyond the tactical and the operational, but more strategic. One is as you identified earlier, financial. You just lost 90 billion from your zero budget as far as the national budget is concerned, and then while you have 500 billion in assets or in idle cash, you have about $1 trillion plus in long-term obligations. Now, that's one issue. Second, you inherited an institution that has a lot of also operational problems in terms of systems instead of outmoded workforce, so to speak. And finally, there's gaps between coverage and equity. You're not able to expand as much as you want, as fast as you want, because of the limited resources that you have. How do you plan to address all of these three major strategic challenges of PhilHealth within the period of today and May 2028?
With much prayers po. Pero to break it down po, the issue number one is finance. So really, I am really making representations with our national government on if you want us to meet the Philippine Development Plan target, and I think I showed it in the slide earlier, a back of the envelope calculation shows that really our government subsidy should go up. So just getting the whole syntaxes and the whole PAGCOR PCSO will go a long way. Because right now po, we just get, for example, the computation for the syntaxes is 90 billion. We usually get only 40 to 50. And then the PAGCOR is another 20, PAGCOR and PCSO. So that easily can cover. But of course, we should do hard work on our side also, which is collection efficiencies, and also making sure that our membership data is up to date. That's why we're also benchmarking with the SSS, the Pag-ibig, and the PhilSys in cleaning up our data. And we will really appeal to the direct contributors that this is a social contract that everybody should pay premium or contribute. Precisely why we're expanding Consulta. Because a lot of the direct contributors are saying, why will we contribute if we're not getting anything? And we only get when we get sick. Hindi na po ngayon. Kaya as I explained in the Consulta, even if you're not feeling anything and you reach the certain age and you fall within the parang indications, you can get care. So we're actually pivoting to that. Para everybody is covered, even those that are not sick. The second po is the efficiencies. Really po, we're looking at really digitizing and also saving a lot in terms of our manpower. The third po is I'm also fortunate or unfortunate to have been given the role to reorganize PhilHealth. If you would see just like last week, the GCG already approved the memorandum order to reorganize PhilHealth. So yun po, i-align namin dun sa more modern organization po ang PhilHealth.
Yeah, can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here and talk about how exactly PhilHealth is impacting on the ground, right? At Asian Hospital, we've decided we're going to do no balance billing. Why? No balance billing actually allows people in the lowest socioeconomic status who are members of PhilHealth to actually receive the care that they deserve. And this includes such dreaded diseases such as cervical cancer and radiation therapy for multiple malignancies. We can actually deliver this type of service for free, no out-of-pocket to the patient, simply because we can now charge it to PhilHealth. So that's a very concrete example of how PhilHealth and its goal of really democratizing healthcare, universal healthcare, can be achieved. But that requires a lot of work on everybody's part, right? It requires, as we have been kidding earlier the whole day, prompt payment of the healthcare providers. And that's something that we constantly work on, and that's a work in progress. I think hopefully with the improvement in digitalization, we can actually get that. reducing some of the burdens in terms of bureaucratic documentation. I've recently realized that we went from a single-page bill to 58 pages just to be able to support our claim. So these are things that potentially we should be working on closely with the PhilHealth to be able to get past some of these birthing pains towards increasing and expanding universal health care. Increasing dues. Guys, I mean, like we all know that we have to pay dues, right? Sooner or later, we have to pay the dues. And I think that's a burden that many doctors do accept, right? That they have to pay, they themselves have to pay dues. And regarding professional fees, there are ways that we can actually help manage professional fees. And working with companies such as Sean here in MaxiCare, we at Asian have been able to develop all-in packages where even professional fees are already built into the final bill. So wala nang hidden surprise at the end, bulaga, suddenly you have an extra 200,000 to pay. Wala na yun. Kasi pasok na. So I think if we move and more towards that, and we're seeing the benefits. Thank you very much, Sean, for working with us closely because we have seen the benefits to that. Our doctors are very happy with that. Suddenly, they're getting more referrals. In short, pinakyaw na namin. All right? So that's a way of helping manage and mitigate these increases in terms of professional fees, ensuring that the less fortunate in life actually get the service that we can actually deliver here in the country.
And also to add to that, no, I think a lot of the talk around, does PhilHealth have enough money? Will it last 20 years? I'll add a bit of nuance and context to that. PhilHealth is not insurance. Pag namatay ka, 1 million, defined benefit. PhilHealth is here to provide healthcare and to decrease healthcare risk. So there are many strategies to do that. And Doc Edwin already showed that. But concrete example, we're the second payer. Ibig sabihin, kung ano hindi bayaran ni PhilHealth, we will pay. For the first time in I think 9 years that I've been with MaxiCare, for the first time in 2025, even with limited funding, in fact decreased funding, this is the first year that we have seen PhilHealth support values go up. Ibig sabihin, yung kino-cover ni PhilHealth out of the total bill and healthcare costs of a typical HMO member has increased for the first time since I've been with MaxiCare. And keep in mind, no funding, di ba? Limited funding. And that's the power of what Doc Edwin described earlier. No? It's about working with the providers. It's investing in information to understand where to spend the money on preventive care, so that 20 years from now, you won't get a heart attack. So I think this perspective na, will you be around 20 years, here's the total cost. By working with the provider, working with other payers, and changing the way, we approach healthcare financing. Because that's the biggest problem, really, healthcare financing. How do you make all of this work? I think these are the right problems to solve. And we fully support efforts, PhilHealth and the private sector and the providers in this particular area. So it can be done. And we're actually seeing results on the ground today.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are red flags to this, right? The increasing dependence now of hospitals on collections from PhilHealth exposes us even greater now to the risks to our cash flow when there are delays in payment. So it becomes even more and more potentially an acute problem as the years go by. How can we deal with this impact to my cash flow? If I'm dealing with something, hypothetically, if I'm dealing with 200 million that haven't been paid to me since over 999 days. And these are facts on the ground. So we have to really work together closely, include the Commission audit in this discussion so that we can help them also be assured that we do have the systems in place to actually prevent and mitigate fraud. Because I think that's where naman I understand where the auditors are coming from, right? Every one of us here in this room has gone through audits, right? We know what it's like. So we have to mitigate the risks of finding fraud, or of developing fraud, and help the COA be confident that we can actually work together closely with the providers, with the payers, so that we can get the payments faster. So I like the scheme that you're proposing. Now pay us up front, then we can work on the backwards. But yeah, in the meantime, these are things that we have to deal with today.
Precisely why we're shifting our payment from a service, fee for service, to a more prospective upfront payment, and that's the global payment. And then, and most successful health delivery systems already shifting to a more prospective payment. But as long as the safeguards are in place, as you mentioned.
Thank you. We have a question from the floor from Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar.
Hello, good afternoon po. CEO Edwin, may I ask, how does PhilHealth ensures the fast claims of our OFWs who were sick abroad and to make it easier for them, for their claims?
Thank you, Congresswoman and my prima, Marisa. We're establishing already offices overseas. The board just approved. We're starting with Saudi Arabia. We'll put one in Europe. Among the big social funds, Pag-ibig, SSS, PhilHealth, kami lang po yung walang presence eh. So we're establishing. And then I already talked with the PhilHealth president, the SSS president, President J. Declaro, and also the Pag-ibig, that the three of us will jointly do caravans and reach out to the OFWs. The other thing that we're looking at is how to shorten po, for the information of everyone po, if you're an OFW, and even if you're covered by your local health insurance, if you get sick, you can still charge PhilHealth, and PhilHealth will pay you on the same case rate that is being paid here in the Philippines. The difficulty is how to get your statement of account from the hospitals. Because some of the hospitals would say, oh, your insurance already paid me, so I cannot give you a statement of account. So that's what we're working on. Can the receipt that the insurance paid the hospital in a foreign land be used instead of the SOA of the hospital? And then secondly, when you get it from either the insurance company or the hospital, you have to translate it pa into English. All those requirements. So that's precisely why we said, no, we have to have offices on the ground to help them translate and do all these processes. So we'll see hopefully within the year in Saudi Arabia and look at ways to cover and use the receipts coming from the insurance company rather than the SOA of the hospitals.
For clarification, so whenever there are claims abroad, their families or relatives can just go to the PhilHealth offices to be able to claim the payments they made abroad through their Medicare or whatever insurances that they have?
Yes po. The requirement kasi somebody you are authorizing to transact on your behalf here. But if we already have an office in the country, you don't need that. It can automatically be transmitted to our office in that country.
One follow-up question, please. CEO Edwin, I would like to ask, how does PhilHealth ensure that the database of our beneficiaries are updated, clean, without bloated or inactive members in our database? Do we have such already?
If you go to your eGov app, there is an NGA tab, and when you push your tab, it will show you all the national government agencies. You go to the PhilHealth tab, it will automatically show you your membership IDs, your contribution history, and we will even attach your benefit availment history. So doon po mache-check. Pero that is prospective. While we're doing it, we already started a facial recognition portal where every availment now of our member will be matched with the PhilSys national ID and with the PhilHealth data. So we're putting up a new bin for members para as we validate every encounter, it's put in the new bin. But to answer your question, talaga pong magulo pa yung aming database. And to be honest, we've been working with the PSA, we've been working with the SSS, pero hindi pa ho 100% talaga. So we thought, huwag na natin hintayin, prospective na tayo. Every availment, we verify the identity. Once matag as valid, we put it into our new bin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We have another question from the floor. Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Edwin, and members of the panel for sharing your valuable insight. Mike Makatangay ko, Vice Chair for MAP membership. Sir, the most controversial issue now is about the online gambling. No? And of course, there are groups who are calling for total ban of online gambling because of the ill effects in our society. And also, there are also other parties who would like to continue this because one of the reasons that they're citing is the proceeds of this online gambling is delegated mostly on the healthcare. I think they also mentioned about some subsidies with the Department of Education and also PhilHealth. Sir, what's your take on this? Is it really, how much is the online gambling sector contributes to the healthcare sector, also in PhilHealth? And if online gambling will be totally banned, what will be the effects on this to our healthcare system, especially to PhilHealth? Thank you.
So, stated earlier po, the PAGCOR and the PCSO, there's already a formula on how much is to be earmarked for healthcare. I am not worried how much the contribution of online gambling is because it's just given to us already in one check. I don't know also if, again, is it ethical receiving payment from those sources? For now po, it's more for me to cover really the additional benefits that we really want to give out. You may call it parang hypocritical, but it's the same thing naman po with sin taxes precisely. And there are already reports that the sin taxes really lowered the consumption of cigarettes. But the inelasticity as it pertains to elder people, hindi po nagbago The consumption stays the same. But for younger people, bumaba po. The problem is, naging alternative naman is vape. So it's really a population-based issue that is handled by the DOH more than the PhilHealth. But we will include that in our primary care, precisely all addiction, whether it's online gambling, whether it's vaping. We are already including that in what our primary care doctors should be communicating to their patients.
Thank you very much po, Dr. Edwin. God bless and all the best po sa inyo and PhilHealth. Thank you po.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Edwin Mercado, and of course, the panelists. My question is direct on the topic, making healthcare more affordable and accessible to all Filipinos. Based on a study, the medical trend for Asia-Pacific, for the Asia-Pacific region, is average of 30% increase yearly. But for the Philippines alone, it's 21%. For 2024 and 2025, increase in medical trend. Now, my question is this. Is this purely on the health status of our nation? Or is it because there is no regulating government body to check on the hospital pricing or hospital charges on laboratory and diagnostic exams? So I have to ask this because I am a patient myself, and every time I go for my yearly checkup, the cost of my laboratory and diagnostics increase or escalate every year. So that means the medical escalating trend or utilization is not because of the number of ailments, but because of how much each ailment is costing the user or the medical insurance or the HMO themselves. And I believe, as a matter of fact, Mr. Sean Argos is very aware that MaxiCare had losses for 2022 and 2023 in billions of pesos. So that happened after the pandemic. So is there, the final question, is there any consideration or study for a government regulating body for hospitals and clinics for that matter?
This sounds like a multifaceted question and certainly deserves input from the three of you. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
Okay, maraming salamat po. By the way, I'm Pia Reyes from Centralink Insurance Brokers. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. Price controls in a free market are never really something that we agree to. They distort the market. I mean, like we've seen it in pharma, we see it in other industries, which is why na-deregulate na nga yan, right? I can tell you that, at least in my sector, we are very, very competitive with each other. We look and monitor each other's prices every single week, if not daily, just to be ensured that we have not priced ourselves out of the market. And yes, we do have very significant competition from the likes of the MaxiCare clinics, from the likes of the high precisions out there, that actually impact our revenues. It's actually affecting us. We actually see it. So it would be kind of ridiculous on our part to go out and continue pricing ourselves out of the market. So we're very, very conscious about medical inflation. So we look for ways that we can actually find the best strategies to deliver the best possible medical care and information to the patient at the most cost-efficient manner. And that's always a goal that we have. Turnaround times, cost efficiencies, how do we ensure that we don't waste a lot of stuff, just so that we can maintain our own business and make sure that we don't overprice ourselves. So that's something that we are very, very conscious of in our industry, in the healthcare industry nowadays.
Yeah, so Pia, thanks for the question. When you quote 21%, these are usually figures published by multinational insurance brokers who conduct a survey on HMOs who actually crunch the numbers. But medical inflation, the way we measure it, is cost per capita on a given year. And inflation is changed year to year. What drives cost? How many people access medical care? For every 1,000 people, is it 100, is it 200, etc. The second factor that drives cost is, for every person that receives medical care, how many times per year does this person get care? How many times I go to the hospital, clinic, see a doctor? And then the final part of medical inflation is, every time I seek medical care, how much is it? How much is the bill? And what is the component of the bill? The number of services in the bill and the price per unit in the bill. When the industry, or around the world, 2022, 2023, the reason we had high medical inflation, 21%, 30%, because it was indexed to the previous year, which is pandemic. So availers per capita plummeted. Availments per capita plummeted. So that's the answer to it. But the fact of the matter is ngayon, we're seeing easing medical inflation. It's not going to be 21%. It's probably going to be in the low teens realistically. But beyond that, this matters if it's fee-for-service. Fee-for-service. Patingi-tingi. If I do something, pay. But I think the solution to healthcare financing and cost is to, again, come up with capitation agreements, front-loaded payments, global budgets. And there are two distinctions here. One is where you are a walk-in patient, you're paying out of pocket. That is subject to market forces. I don't think there should be price control. When you're a consumer walking in and then you buy services from a hospital. But if you are part of a system where there is a payer acting on your behalf, then the payer and the provider can agree on pricing. And that, in effect, is price control, quote unquote. But it's really an arrangement, a financial arrangement between the payer and the provider. So, and that's why when you have a payer, the cost is generally lower because you're aggregating. And then you can coordinate with the provider on how to use this money wisely. Where should you spend it on? So I think that's the more important, I guess, perspective. And how we as a country will drive down the cost of healthcare. We need to get a strong national payer. We need a strong PhilHealth. And we're on our way. No? I think we have a solid plan as a country then we need to get the other payers to fulfill their role as a complementary payer of PhilHealth. And finally, the key here is also the providers. And we've done some great work with Asian, with Ayala Health, with Healthway. Me as a payer, us as a payer, we have special arrangements with Asian Hospital, for example. Asian Hospital, our package for laparoscopic cholecystectomy is 40% lower than what you would get in any other hospital because we negotiated. So ganon.
Dr. Mercado, I'll let you have the last word before we close this Q&A.
Thank you, Rod. In fact, no healthcare system has infinite resources. Yun pong sinasabi na, oy, bakit sa Italy libre? Bakit sa Canada libre? They do it, but they ration it. Once their budget is consumed, especially if it's elective, you wait for the next batch of funds for next year. So the question now is, where do you properly put your fund? And precisely why we're drafting a roadmap, we're negotiating with our providers, we're talking to the HMOs to be complementing what we're covering. But we will cover only those that are really essential. And we're pivoting to primary care. There are studies already showing when they price control the cost, it only parang the same, parang the black market. You have the red envelope in China. You go after office hours to seek care and you pay. So it only complicates the matter. I think the proper way, as Sean correctly alluded to, is really we negotiate. And if you're willing to take on my price, then I will give you volume. And I will give you advance payment because you're committed to a certain volume with me. So that is using the purchasing power and the power of the purse of PhilHealth. Hindi lang ho kami tagabayad. We're here to also impact the way provider behave, the way payer behave, the way patients behave. And that, I think, is the critical role that I'm looking at PhilHealth to be going to in the next couple of years, if I'm still here.
Thank you. Rack, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, President and CEO Doc Edwin Mercado. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Doc Beaver and Raul, for sharing your time and expertise with us today. May I ask the MAP governors to please join us on stage for a photo op with our speaker and panelists. While we're doing that, we're giving away our token of appreciation to our speakers and to our speaker and the panelists. We'd like to remind people of the event that we have next week. So see you on the 23rd for the MAP 75th Anniversary Ball, and on August 13 for the next MAP General Membership Meeting. I would like now to close this General Membership Meeting. The GMM is now adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. For joining us today. Thank you, everyone.